Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 279 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Rebecca Kirstein. She is part of Raise a Dream Week, and we heard from her partner in crime, Charmaine Hammond, Wednesday on episode 278. And Charmaine said about Rebecca that Rebecca is a finisher. So we want to see if she's a drywall finisher or what exactly that means. But I thought it'd be appropriate that she finished the week out for us. So we'll have her on in a moment. Now, how would you like to hear your own voice here on Screw the Commute? If the show has helped you out at all in your business or given you ideas to help you start a business, we want to hear about it. Check screwthecommute.com and then look for a little blue sidebar that says send a voicemail. Click on it and talk into your phone or computer and tell me how the show's helped you. And don't forget to put your website in there so you can get a big shout out on a future episode of Screw the Commute. Now, grab a copy of our automation ebook. It's a $27 ebook, but it's yours free for listening to Screw the Commute. Grab it at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And this book has literally, this isn't an exaggeration, we figured this out a couple years ago, saved me 7.5 million keystrokes and allows me to take care of customers and prospects lightning fast. It's all the things we use around here to automate the business. So make sure you grab a copy of that. While you're at it, get a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. And we've got instructions there to show you how to take us on the road on your cell phone and your tablet. Now, we're sitting here in the middle of this pandemic, and this is a first for me. I mean, there's been smaller things like with Ebola and SARS and things like that, but this is kind of a worldwide thing. And it's got everybody hunkered down at home. And I got people calling me all the time, you okay? Are you okay? Well, it's not much different for me. I've been working out of my home since I started formal business 43 years ago and 26 of it on the internet. So it's not much different for me. But work from home searches are going crazy on Google for people to learn how to do this. So we have a school that I've been preaching this since roughly 96. I started selling on the internet in 94 to teach you how to do these things so that you have high profit, low risk, and when things like this happen, you're not stuck. So check it out at imtcva.org, and also have a mentor program we'll tell you about later. But the school was a great legacy gift for your grandchildren, your children, nephews, and nieces, because it's a highly in-demand skill. Every business on earth needs this kind of skill, and they don't have to spend 5, 6 years and 10 years in college learning how to protest and coming out with debt and competing for jobs at Starbucks. So we don't want that. All right, let's get to the main event. Rebecca Kirstein is a serial entrepreneur and a human connector. She has firsthand experience over several decades, and you won't believe that if you saw her, because she looks like she's like 12, founding small businesses, tech startups, and investment corporations. See, doing all this stuff keeps you young, apparently. And then she founded, with Charmaine Hammond, Raise a Dream. We're going to talk a lot about that today. And she's the founder of Rethink Thinking the Summit. And she's a speaker, advisor, idea generator, and collaborator. And she's fueled by her experience that when entrepreneurs connect and collaborate, we all have the capacity to create stronger, more sustainable communities. Rebecca, are you ready to screw the commute?
I am.
That's good. I'm always happy when somebody actually answers that question. It just sits there dumbfounded.
I was born ready.
All right. So Rebecca, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Like you, I've been working at home for a really long time since I was probably in my 20s. So this is not new for me.
You screwed the commute. That's good. So we're going to talk about Raise a Dream for sure today, but you've got a long history. I mean, did you ever have a job?
I had a job back when I was about 19 was the last real job I had.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
What was it?
What I worked for a pet food company, a natural pet food company.
And was it really natural? Because, there's whole books written about how sleazy pet food companies are.
There actually is. And the reason I worked for this pet food company, because I'm a big animal lover, was that they were in fact actually a natural pet food company.
Is it still around?
It's still around. Yeah.
What's the name of it?
It's called Happy Paws.
Happy Paws. I haven't heard of it. I'm a total animal nut too. I've saved hundreds of, dogs and miscellaneous animals. So I love that. I used to feed my dogs raw also, but I'd go clear up 100 miles to the farm and get the chicken carcasses and stuff. And then one of the dogs just couldn't handle it, and it tore her butt up terribly, and she almost died over it. So I had to quit. But I'm a big proponent of raw feeding, because most of the commercial stuff is really pitiful.
Absolutely, I could not agree more.
All right, so how did you get? Then what happened?
Then what happened? Well, yeah. Then what happened? Do you know what actually happened next?
That's what I'm
wanting to
know.
Job.
What happened?
I had a government job and decided that I was never, ever going to have a job again.
This is Canadian government, right?
Canadian government.
Okay.
Yeah, Canadian government. And, no offense to the Canadian government, but I'm not good at sitting still, and I'm not good at doing the same thing over and over again. And I very quickly figured out that this whole job thing wasn't for me. I needed to solve problems.
So what did you do about it then?
So at the time, I went to photography school, and I became a photographer for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was, I could not imagine a business that changed more over the span of my career in terms of the technology and accessibility. And the whole industry changed repeatedly throughout my career. So it taught me to be really resilient and really adaptable to change.
Well, that's interesting that you would give up a cushy government dog food job.
Okay, 2 separate jobs, Tom.
Okay. Didn't know
when
the government
starts making dog food, we should get concerned.
So what type of photography? I mean, was it landscape or portraits, or what was it?
Over the span of my career, I did just about everything, but I started doing babies, weddings, engagements, all that kind of stuff. And very quickly, as YouTube and the whole craze of social media came into play, the world changed pretty dramatically. And it was exactly the same time that digital SLRs became, everybody's was a photographer all of a sudden. Everybody had access to equipment and tools that professionals had access to pretty much overnight. And that changed the game. And I shifted into commercial photography, and I shifted into what I refer to now as productizing a service.
And what do you mean by that?
And what I mean by that is that we took what was previously a service and turned it into a product line. I'll give you an example. A lot of women back then were really interested in what we call boudoir photography, and sexy photos for themselves, for their partners, for Valentine's.
Well, hold on. Supposed to be sexy photos from some that I have seen, and the boa industry went really big during that time, I think.
Yeah, so we did that a little differently, and we did a much more non-studio, natural light locations, very very actual sexy kind of vibe to it. But what we did was we turned it into an event, and we called it Sex in the City. And we actually really changed the game around how those kinds of shoots would happen. In our city, it became something that started to get copied. We started seeing it all over the place.
They're out in public in lingerie and stuff?
No, private locations, but outdoors.
I thought you had like an audience or something.
No audience, no audience at all. Very private, but it was in private homes and manors and front locations and things like that. We live in a very, very beautiful part of the world where those kinds of locations are not difficult to find. And we partnered with a whole bunch of sponsors, everything from wine and cheese to hair and makeup to venues to jewelry to clothing, lingerie, all of the above. And we created a real event experience from it that people would buy tickets to. And we ran it very exclusively, only a couple times a year, and people look forward to it. And we had business clients that would come to the event every year.
Well, wait, you're losing me. I thought you said this wasn't open to the public, but now you said you're selling tickets.
Oh no,
what am I missing here?
Yep. No, we sold tickets. It was open to anyone who wanted to buy a ticket, but it was it was a very exclusive event in that we only sold 40 tickets.
Oh, okay.
Twice a year.
Well, that's pretty cool way to adjust the business, because probably a lot of photographers just folded at that time.
Yep. And we did that with many things. We did that with headshots. We had a headshot event that we converted into a networking event. We called them photo mobs. We did all kinds of things like that to really turn our services into products and events that people would look forward to.
Now, when you say we and our, were these your ideas, or you collaborated, or what? Because you're big into collaboration.
Every single business I have ever started in my entire life and been successful at has been in partnership, including Raise a Dream with Charmaine. But my photography studio was in partnership with Anna. These crazy ideas are usually my crazy ideas, but they would never see the light of day without people like Anna and Charmaine.
Well, see, they said opposite. They said, no, exactly opposite. Charmaine said that she was comes up with ideas, but she'd never get them done if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, and this is, I would say Charmaine and I are a bit of muses for each other. We were slightly different than every other relationship I've had in terms of partners, in that we are both idea generators. And Charmaine is a workhorse. She works all day long, all the time. She loves to work. I am not. I'm lazy like you, Tom. And so I am all about the finishing. What does it look like to get from A to B as quickly and efficiently as possible? Mm-hmm. And that's what I do.
So this Raise a Dream, I understand you two didn't know each other really when it came together. Is that right?
No, not at all. We were introduced by a coach that we were both working with independently.
Now, is this a Canadian thing that partnerships work? Because most of them fail miserably and people like ready to shoot each other down here in the States.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a very Canadian thing. And I've had a lot of successful partnerships, but I will say that there's, I think, a really solid level of emotional intelligence, EQ, involved in successful partnerships. So I don't think it's specifically Americans that
do you test each other, or how do you tell? Just by talking to somebody?
Yeah, I certainly can tell by how people handle adversity and difficult situations. And even just when you listen to somebody talk about how they handle their ex-wife or their ex-husband,
mm-hmm.
And the kinds of relationships they have in other partnerships that maybe didn't go as well as they could have, will tell you a lot.
That sounds like a book to me right there.
It definitely would be. If I had time to write a book, I got about 9 of them in my head right now.
Well, you need a finisher.
I need a finisher. I need someone to finish this.
So you have quite a diverse background here. You got investment and tech startups and things like that. I mean, that's quite a broad range to be involved in.
It really is. I have a lot of different interests, but there is a common thread that runs.
All right, tell us about that. What's a common thread that runs through all these?
Solving a problem and having the opportunity to be creative every day, because I'm in either a business or an industry that is constantly evolving. So, and now that is true during pandemics. That's true for everything and everyone.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's take it into Raise a Dream again. So what was the genesis of this, and what's the goal and the future of Raise a Dream? I called it a movement, and Charmaine was happy about that rather than just a program.
Yeah. Well, both Charmaine and I really believe in the concept of collective brilliance, that, we are all so much stronger, the sum of our parts, than as individuals, and really collaboration, just like a partnership is a collaboration, is not always easy, and there's so much benefit to effective collaborations, that really raise a dream is about bringing people together, really teaching people how to have really effective collaborations. It's a lot about the communication, the resilience, the give and take. What do you do when things go wrong? How do you set things up so that when things do go wrong, they're much easier to manage? Because like life, business is not always predictable, and sometimes things don't go as planned. And so really,
You're kidding.
expertise is
You're
really important.
kidding about that. They don't always go as planned.
I know, right? Who knew? Who knew? Why didn't somebody tell me?
Right. Oh, wow. So if you had to pick the top three things that you think, talk about another common denominator of what has made you and kept you successful, what do you think they would be?
Uh, Constantly being focused on, one of my favorite mentors likes to say, "You are the work."
Hmm.
And I really believe that. So constantly staying focused on, being better and doing
Uh-huh.
better.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work, and it isn't always the pretty work. It's kind of the stuff we'd like to ignore sometimes. It's like, everything from communication to building teams, leadership, all of that is about doing your work. What makes you better at what you do, and a better communicator and a better leader. So that's number one for sure for me, is staying focused on that, because it's hard to do. It's hard work to do, and it's hard to find the time to do the things that aren't necessarily burning and urgent.
So you are the work. That's one,
You
right?
are the work.
Okay.
That's definitely number one. And really, like, we're all in this together. There is so many opportunities left on the table to collaborate, to make a greater impact, to whatever your goal is, make more money, change the world. I like both. I like to mix both. I think we can make a lot of money and change the world. And I don't think you can really have one without the other. And so that is a really big focus of mine, is how to bring people together. I talked to somebody earlier today that called themselves a compulsive connector. I'm like, that is a really good description, because we should always be looking for ways to even if it has absolutely nothing to do with us, but connect people that could potentially provide value to one another, because that's ultimately what scales change.
All right. Now, before you give me number three, let's dig a little deeper on collaborate. Is this something that's a skill that you can improve on?
Absolutely.
What would you do to improve your collaboration skills?
I think the number one thing that I would do is notice. That's where I would start, is notice where you can be of service to other people, because that is where collaborations always begin. So if you're talking to an investor, talking to a customer, talking to somebody who's in the same industry as you, potentially a competitor, is notice what causes them pain, what is difficult for them, what challenges are they facing, and how could you help? And that is step one to being a good collaborator, is noticing where you can help and being willing to put something out with no promise of anything to gain from it, other than it feels pretty darn good to help somebody with a significant challenge of theirs.
See, that's where I think a lot of the fails around here is that people go in with the attitude, I got to find somebody to do something for me,
Yep.
rather than what you just said.
Yep. It's I'm not going to stereotype. Not all Canadians are like that either. So, but it's certainly, it's a struggle a lot of people face, and particularly in times like this, where people really have a tendency to fall back into a scarcity mindset. And you see examples all over the world of people right now who are living in scarcity and the terrifying fear of that, and people all over the world who are offering whatever they have to give, and how much they're getting in return as a result is proof in and of itself to just.
I saw this thing. I get this email every day from the Good News Network.
I love it.
Have you seen it before?
Yep.
So, yeah. So today, a 6-year-old boy is sitting out on the roadside, as he always wanted to do a lemonade stand, but you can't do it because of social distancing.
Yep.
So he's giving away jokes. so
Awesome.
He's got a drive-by joke stand at 6 years old with these, corny little jokes, just making people smile. He's giving what he can give at 6 years old, right?
That's so awesome. And yeah, you're seeing examples of that popping up everywhere. And that is exactly the mindset I'm talking about, is look for ways to help. And even if it's just making people laugh, I mean, it doesn't have to be some huge grandiose effort,
Did
but
you did you see that one guy in England? He's like 100 years old, and he was going to walk around his garden 100 times to raise $1,000 for like first responders or something.
awesome.
You know
That's
how
so
much
great.
money so far?
I'm
30,
sure way more than 1,000.
32 million. He raised
Oh my goodness, really?
32 million. Just look it up when we get
Oh,
off
I
here.
gotta follow this story. That's
Yeah.
great.
32
Right?
million.
And there's a guy just looking for what he can do to help, right?
Exactly. He's got a
Great.
walker, and he said, I got to get around this garden 100 times.
And he's probably gonna live another 100 years as
Yeah.
a result.
Yeah. And there's another old veteran standing on the side of the road giving away meals to truckers, because truckers are having trouble because all the restaurants are closed. They can't even find a place to eat, but they're hauling all our goods around, and they're kind of heroes too. So these people are giving what they can. I just did it last night. I got on TV yesterday morning and told them, hey, we're called the Hampton Roads area. Here's 7 big cities around here. And I said, I'm going to do free marketing classes at 8 o'clock every Wednesday for everybody stuck at home. So I'm doing what I can do. I wouldn't be any good, taking meals to the elderly, because I'd eat them all on the way. So you got to.
We all have our strengths, Tom.
Well, yeah, it's like Clint Eastwood say, a man's got to know his limitations. All right. So what else can they do to learn to collaborate better? Notice and be of service. What else?
Yeah, and I would say on to add to that, the sort of the second step of that, you can notice, but then you can act on that and actually put yourself out there. Offer whatever it is you have to offer. You'd be surprised at how many times when you ask people the question, how can I help? They'll actually answer it, and they'll actually tell you how you can help.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that directly benefits you, and sometimes it doesn't. But in many ways, it's about, paying attention and keeping those things top of mind, because the amount of times in a day where I have an opportunity to go, oh, that thing I heard about last week, this new business or this new service or, a fund or grants or, whatever it may be, this is perfect for this person or this particular situation. And just really paying attention to how the dots connect and how you can sometimes connect them for people that they may never otherwise connect themselves. And I think Charmaine is a master at that.
All right. So the bottom line is you can learn to be a better collaborator. That's and there's more steps,
absolutely.
I'm sure, but you can learn. So, all right. So
like anything, it is a practice.
Right. So our 2 things so far is you are the work and collaborate. And what would be the third key to success?
You are the work, collaborate, and see, this is hard to pick. It's hard to pick just 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
For me, it's persistence
like this,
and consistency. And when everybody asks me, it's just the first thing that blurts out of my mouth, because I just won't quit. If something's worthwhile going after, most people quit too early. So, and then consistency is good because people know what to expect from you. And so if they don't never know what you're going to come up with or do, they can't depend on you. See, so those are, I'll throw the third one in there for you from my perspective, is persistence and consistency is always important in personal and business life. So
I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm glad you filled in the blank for me, because those are solid choices.
Yeah, there is so many moving parts to success for sure, but these are the ones that you and I boiled down together. Awesome. All right, so we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Rebecca what a typical day looks like for her, if there is such a thing, and her vision for the Raise a Dream movement. So folks, about 20 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, because guys at my level were charging $50,000 or $100,000 up front to small businesses. And I knew a lot of these guys, if they got the money, that's the last you'd see of them. They wouldn't even help you. So I thought, that's not right. I'm going to charge a fraction of that as an entry fee to a program, and then I'm going to charge a percentage of profits that's capped. So for me to get my big money, you had to make way bigger money. And then you're not stuck with me the rest of your life. And you know that I'm not going to disappear on you because I won't get my money. All right. So people seem to like this. And 1,700 students later, it's still going strong like that. So that's our Great Internet Marketing Joint Venture Program that's very unique, has an immersion trip to the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center, video studio. We shoot videos with you. We teach you all kinds of stuff. And then the other unique thing is guys at my level won't even talk to you at all. But in my program, I can't get results out of you if I don't talk to you and help you one-on-one. So myself and my entire staff are at your disposal by appointment, one-on-one. So I'm not having to, when everybody lumps a bunch of people together, well, the beginners are lost all the time, and the people that are advanced are bored all the time, and then they all quit on you. So I don't like that. So it's a very unique program. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and with it comes a scholarship to my school. And somebody joined this program and gifted the school to their daughter, who they had spent $80,000 on her crap education, and she was working some menial job. And after 4 months, she's still in the school. She's making $6,000 a month on the side, all right, from what she learned there. So it's very, very powerful. It's a highly in-demand skill, internet marketing. And when something happens where you're forced to be at home or you're sick or you're hurt, you can still have money coming in. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get back to our main event. Rebecca Kirstein is here, and she is the co-founder of the Raise a Dream movement. And so, Rebecca, what's a typical day look like for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, before all this, my days were never typical, but it's becoming Groundhog Day over here.
Yeah.
But I can't go anywhere.
I mean, so I will take it granular. Like, do you get up really early? Do you exercise? Do you have breakfast?
Yeah.
What's your day look like?
What's my day look like? I definitely am not an early riser by nature.
Okay.
So I have, for the last 20 years, woken up without an alarm unless I'm catching a flight or have some
Beautiful.
other reason to get
That's
up
a
early.
lifestyle business. Beautiful.
Yeah. So I get up when I wake up. It's usually before 8 a.m., but that can vary.
Okay.
But, and yeah, I get up. I have had an on and off practice my entire life of meditation. I'm getting better and better and better at being more consistent about that. And I walk every day for at least an hour, sometimes two. And yeah, try to do, when we're not in pandemic land like we are right now, everything from tennis to kayaking to hiking to swimming to,
Nice.
everything. We live in a beautiful part of the world where all those things can happen all year round. And yeah, and then I get to work. And so I work in chunks of time. So I will write in the morning, or I will take meetings only Tuesday to Friday, or I chunk everything because am involved in so many different ventures.
And how long are your chunks? Because I think Charmaine talked about this Wednesday, that her chunks are different length than your chunks.
Yeah, totally. We don't necessarily work in exactly the same way, but like I don't take meetings on Mondays, and so Mondays I'm writing, I'm catching up on things that require a lot of like focus, where I have to get into something for many hours sometimes. Yeah, that is my more creative kind of time on a Monday, and I love having my weekend kind of move into having some flexibility on a Monday. And then I take meetings generally only in the afternoon, unless they are specifically events and things that happen at specific times where I have to, where I choose to really let that into my mornings, because my mornings are always getting stuff done, responding to email, making sure my tasks are all kind of managed and handled. And then my afternoons are usually a lot. I've spent a lot of time on Zoom. I talk to a lot of people in a lot of different parts of the world. So my day is commonly spent on Zoom before a pandemic, and now much more so during a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. And then my evenings are with my family. I have a daughter who's almost 18 and she's stuck at home with me right now. So she's forced to hang out with me, which is awesome. And so her and my fiance Sven and I spend a lot of time together. We go to the beach, we take the dog for walks. We're a lot lower key than we used to be. We were always out doing stuff and hanging out with friends and socializing in the evenings and weekends. But I also have quite a few startups on the go. So I sometimes am working longer hours, but in most cases by choice. Like, I get really into something and I'll work 12-hour days for a week, and then I will not work as hard for a few days. So it's really based on my own sort of schedule and moods and such that I have that flexibility.
So you make your own way. I call it the winning pace. You just, a lot of people say, well, I can't believe you work this way. Well, that's right, because that's not you. It's me. Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my winning pace. I didn't want to say that's their losing pace, but, but that's what I'm thinking. Anyway.
It's something you get used to. And I'm really, really fortunate because now when I look at, sort of an alternate universe where people work, very specific hours and, are much more stuck to the clock. I can't imagine that because it's been so long that I haven't had to. I work really hard, but I don't work any harder than I want to work.
Well, they say an entrepreneur will work 18 hours a day to get out of work and 8 hours a day for somebody else.
All day long, I will do that. Absolutely.
All right. So what's your vision for Raise a Dream? What's it gonna be in the future? What's it gonna look like?
Yeah, Shar and I really started Raise a Dream. We started with the intention of raising a million dreams. So helping other people achieve their goals that made a significant difference and impact in other people's lives. So in some ways, everything from people who are working with grief and death and helping people cope with that to changing the world through feeding young people in schools all over the world, and different organizations that are doing different things to make the world a better place. We decided very early on that those are the kind of people we wanted to work with and support by connecting them and supporting them and building collaborations and partnerships and ultimately sponsorship into their businesses and into their business models. To make more impact. And so that's really where we started. And we won't stop until we hit a million dreams. And then we'll just keep going like that old guy circling his yard.
Yeah. And the only thing I don't like about it is nobody comes up with a, feed the internet entrepreneur campaign, like show up at my door with some food. Nobody ever does that.
Well, in this climate, Tom, I could very quickly have food delivered to your door.
That's true. Then I had somebody going to rent an apartment, and they said they work for Grubhub, and I'm thinking, man, how much money can you make? They were like doing $4,400 a month working for Grubhub. They said we're just making bank nowadays. I said, well, I wonder if that'll last afterwards, but yeah. They were cleaning up now, that's for sure. So I asked Charmaine as the last question what she thought about you. So now you got to tell me, what do you think about Charmaine?
What do I think about Charmaine?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question.
Well, and she'll hear it,
She'll hear it. I know, right? So I better not say anything like too revealing. No, Charmaine she absolutely came into my life as a business relationship, and we have become friends through the work that we do. We obviously share a lot of the same values and things that we're passionate about in the world. And I've never met anyone as selfless as Charmaine. Charmaine's entire existence depends on supporting other people to be successful, sometimes to her own detriment. But in many cases, she's getting better at that. She's getting better at looking out for her own self and her health and all of those things. But she will do anything for anyone to help make their lives better.
Well, for other people and one dog.
And one dog that she loves to death. Yeah, absolutely. But she just shows up for people. I've never met anyone who shows up the way that Charmaine does. And I'm super grateful to have a friend and a partner like her in my life, because that is quite rare. We sometimes say those things about people. That is 100% true about Charmaine.
Beautiful. So how do people get a hold of you? How do they be part of the Raise a Dream movement?
Oh, they can find us at raiseadream.com. And we're on
So
Facebook.
creative. That's really a creative name.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, who knew that URL was available?
Yeah, and she said that both of you are rad anyway.
Well, exactly. RAD, right? Raise the Dream. So
Yeah.
we just call it rad behind closed doors.
So raiseadream.com. Great.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for catching us up on this. This is Raise a Dream Week. I was thinking of an important thing to have during the pandemic to try to give people hope that there's bigger things out there. And I thought, who can I have on? And I didn't really know you that well. I've known Charmaine for a long time. And I kind of figured, though, if you're a friend of Charmaine's, you must be pretty darn good. So that's why I decided to have both of you on for Raise a Dream Week. This is the Raise a Dream Week, and we should make it an annual event. How about that?
I totally agree. It's been awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, folks, this has been Rebecca Kirstein, and she's part of the Raise a Dream movement. And I hope everybody out there is not only dreaming, but doing. You know, that's the one thing that I don't like about people that only dream is they're called dreamers, which has got a negative connotation to it because they never do anything. But Rebecca and Charmaine are doers, and if you hook up with them, you're going to see a significant increase in the value of your life. That's for sure. All right, everybody, we'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.